Okay.
Man, this looks really weird in the stream camera. Just this like long line of curtain. But it does make it like way brighter in here. So like, even if I'm like at this angle, will be like can't see it. Doesn't look as silly.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Start and stop.
I don't know how to start and stop no music mine.
Okay. Dude, I don't know why it's not showing.
Alright, back to the editor. Alright. I'm getting distracted over here, everybody. Even though it's just me right now. And no Lance.
Hi-oh.
Hey ho.
Hey. Oh.
Hey and oh. Hey and oh. Oh. I don't know which deck I want to look at. I think I want to look at Ghidorah, honestly. I feel like Ghidorah is going to be the most fun deck. But at the same time, I don't want to start with Ghidorah, man. I look at Violante first. We'll move Destroy all the way up here. Let's take a look at Violante, because we're going to get a few new Violante cards. And I definitely want to see how I'm going to be able to fit that into the deck. Because right now, I feel like the deck is already extremely tight. I feel like this deck has extremely low space. There's not a lot of room for creativity in this deck. And the deck as it is, as my pure collaboration deck goes, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for creativity. I try to be creative with this deck. I try to put in fun things like Rodan and Gearus. But I'm not sure if that creativity is going to get rewarded. Or if I'm just going to get bonked on the head. Because that... Unfortunately, that level of creativity sometimes it just doesn't get you too far. Sometimes you play inadequate cards that aren't as fast. But again, I am playing collaboration only, and that is to purely save my wallet. Is that if I didn't do collaboration only, I probably would spend a lot more money than I already do on this game. But that's the other thing though. The only reason I found this game was because of collaborations and Gundam, honestly. That's how I found this game. And then I started finding some of the other collaborations that I like. Oh, I'm so close to having enough space. Get out of here, mouse. So this is the Biolante deck right now. It's a deck that does try to get that does have a lot of core boosting opportunity. That is kind of the fun part about this deck that I have right now, is the core boosting opportunities that you have in this deck. The more core you get, the less afraid that you feel of having larger spirits in your hand. And a part of some of these Godzilla decks is that some of them benefit from having the opportunity to discard. Some of them it's not as important to have the ability to discard. But getting a Godzilla 2004 in the trash, for example, that's a huge important component to this deck. If you can't get Godzilla 2004 in your trash, you're not going to be able to cheat him into play. And being able to cheat him into play is absolutely the most unfair thing. You probably win when you attack with him. He's that powerful. He will crush everything on your opponent's field for the most part, and then he's going to hit them for 3 or 4 symbols, which probably by the point that you can play him, it's probably going to win you the game. Now, the other thing is that the giant Mothra over here, when my Mothras are destroyed by the opponent, I can summon. So any one of these 3, when they're destroyed by the opponent, I can summon any green spirit that's higher cost. So this is half green. It's cost 8. So if any of these get destroyed by the opponent, he can come out for free. Same with that one. Same with any of my big old Biolantes. Any of those can come out for free in this deck. I think that's a fun part about this deck, is that you just have the opportunity to just drop huge spirits for no reason. And you do have defensive opportunities in this deck. You do have other ways to gain core. I believe the Rodan can destroy Nexus with its flash acceleration ability. I believe Anguirus can get you some drawing power, so you can turbo a little bit more in this deck. And I think he counts as green too, so you can get some additional green reduction. So it is kind of fun playing a hybrid color deck. Now, in this latest set for the Godzilla collaboration, we actually do get, I believe, 2 more cards that have to do with, or 3 more cards. I don't want this gum no more. 3 more cards that have to do with Biolante. That's really exciting to me that we get 3 new cards. Now, one of them is a shop promo, so it actually doesn't come out in the set. So I guess in the set we have 2 cards. One of them is an Advent card. It's like Godzilla fighting him. It's kind of like this one, where Godzilla's like ripping apart Biolante. So I thought it was kind of funny that I was making like a Godzilla vs. Biolante deck. 1989. Yeah, he's fighting Biolante. When advents are attacked, destroy 10,000 or less, and if there's any red cards among the spirits pre-advent cards, draw 2 cards. I mean, it's an amazing card in the Contract Advent deck. Unfortunately, that one won't work here. But then again, that is a Godzilla card rather than just a Biolante card. Ultimately, if I could make this a pure Biolante deck, I would. The unfortunate part about that is right now it's just kind of a fantasy, just due to the overall lack of support. Now, in the set, we do get this card in CB28, the Bio Kaiju Biolante Plant Beast form. It's always treated as a Godzilla. During my attack set, when my Godzilla is attacking, the opponent can't activate burst effects and can't move core from their Grand Walker Nexuses. When it attacks, I counter charges 2 and put 2 core from the void to any of my spirits. Then if I have 6 counters or more, heavy exhaust 2 opposing spirits. I mean, the counter ability, like getting the counters, is kind of irrelevant in this version of the deck I have over here. Now, do I make this deck part Contract Advent? What would be the benefit of that? I mean, I guess if I did play some Contract Advent, I might have some more consistent draw power, I guess. And there's another Mothra I get to play, I guess. Little Larva Mothra. Interesting. But that could take out, man. That actually threw me for a loop right now. I got really excited from the Spilante. My attack set. When your Godzilla is attacking, the opponent can't activate burst effects. And can't move cores from their Grandwalker Nexuses. So it's treated as a Godzilla, so when this spirit attacks, the opponent can't activate burst effects and can't move core from the Grandwalker Nexuses. It's okay. The second effect, when attacks level 2, level 3, when attacks core boot or counter boost 2 and put 2 core from the void to any of your spirits. Then if you have 6 counters or more, have exhaust 2 opposing spirits. I wonder how many cards I'd have to adjust in this deck to make it a hybrid, counter deck. So let me pull up Baby Goji. That's the one that I have to play. All red symbols on your field are also treated as green. That is a good ability. Also, if you have 10 counters or more, all your spirits gain an extra red symbol. That's cool. Contract pre-advent spirit. When attacks, countered boost 2. Now, oh, that's interesting. Baby Goji can't counter boost you. He can only do that if you're already at 3 counters. If you're not at 3 counters, you won't be able to counter boost. Counter boost 2. Then if you have 8 counters or more during this battle, the spirit's BP destruction effects can only be prevented by heavy armor or ultra armor, and then you can destroy a 5,000 or less. For cost 2, it's kind of just super mid. You already need 3 counters to really get advantage out of it, it feels like. Now let's look at Godzilla. We can kind of start from the top. Godzilla 1954 is really our first card that we can take a look at. It's a green cost 3 spirit. Can't tell. Have you been typing in the chat? Can't see it.
Oh, no, not in the chat.
Brittany.
Definitely.
Godzilla 1954, when attacks counter boost 1, then you can reveal 3 cards from your deck top, add a Godzilla among them to the hand, return any remaining to the deck bottom. When attacks, put a core from the void of the spirit, then once returned, if you have 4 counters or more, the spirit can refresh. I mean, it's a very great, that's a great spirit. For that, it finds Godzillas, and then it boosts you. I mean, that's a very powerful ability. But is it right for this deck? That's a hard question, because it's supposed to be a Biolante deck. And the fear is that if I add in too many contract advent spirits, or cards that work towards the contract advent ability, am I losing the main focus of this deck? Little Godzilla 2, it just contract advents onto a Godzilla. By sending this to your... So when it attacks... So you're really supposed to just play this guy, and he'll get you to your... So Little Godzilla... Or your Baby Godzilla is supposed to... You advent Little Godzilla on Baby Godzilla. And then this is really how you're gonna get your counters. Huh. Interesting. Gears, Godzilla 1989, Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, The Burst. I don't know those vegan Rexes at all. Oh, I'm clicking. I'm clicking. What planet do you think some of the kaijus are from? Like Ghidorah is from Space Godzilla, like Ghidorah and Space Godzilla. I think that those kaijus are going to be from planets that we don't know of. They're going to be their own planets. They're going to be their own universe things. I don't think any of those planets are like it's not going to be like, oh, Ghidorah's from Jupiter. I don't think they'd do that. They'd probably be like, it's from... And that's where Ghidorah's from. So if anybody ever asks where Ghidorah's from, you gotta make that sound effect, and they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, that's not my fault. You should have known that before you asked that question. Now, I'm trying to figure out if I should add in some of the new Biolante cards. Man, I feel like the camera's super far away from my face, but at the same time, I feel like... No, I just need better lights. That's it. I just need better lights.
Only you had a motive for murder.
Alright, so I am trying to figure out if I want to put contract advent cards into this deck right now. Because if I put contract advent cards into this deck, I'm feeling like I'm like totally overcommitting. And I wouldn't want to change the strategy for something that's not that valuable. So all these want to get counters so that they can... Oh, right. Hold on a second. I see. Man, they make us so annoying. I feel like a lot of these new cards, they don't really work with some of these other cards. They're not as optimal, so as excited as I was to make like big changes to this deck, I don't think that adding in those... Oops. I don't think that adding in some of those advent cards is going to be as beneficial as I thought. That is a bummer to me. So, I don't know if... Well, I guess there are some decks that I will actually legitimately be changing. But the other question is, am I just like, you know what I thought about Destroya? I've honestly thought about just having 2 Destroya decks. I think I'm going to have 2 Destroya decks because I think I'll have the Revival version and I'll have the new version, because the new version plays completely different than the original version of the deck. And I'm so prideful about the way I built the original version. It works well, it works fast, and it's so much fun. It is one of the most fun decks to play. The new version, I'm sure it's great, but it invalidates so many of these original cards to the point where you don't really play any of the original cards. So there's actually going to be 2 different ways to play this deck, and I'm really excited to really put it together. There's only 2 new cards. There's the new Oxygen Destroyer, or no, it's the Ghidorah Attack, not Ghidorah, excuse me, Destroy Attack, and then there is the Destroya Contract Advent, or Contract Spirit, Pre-Advent Spirit, which can't even advent onto it anyway, so who knows, man. So I'm honestly thinking with this deck, I think this deck is fine. Maybe. I just don't know if it's worth it to put in all that extra stuff. Like that's the part that I'm really struggling with right now, because I feel like, because these would have to come out. These would come out, but that's 7 cards to try to put in like a whole extra engine that, no, it won't work. This deck is just gonna have to stay stuck as is for now. I really thought that this deck was gonna get an adjustment, but, well, I guess that one magic card I'll probably have to fit in, but I honestly don't want to look that one card up right now. I'd probably end up just taking out Anguirus. I'd take out Anguirus or Rodan, or possibly just both, and try to maybe commit another magic card or something. So put Biolante to the side. Now, Godzilla vs. Mothra. So Godzilla vs. Mothra, I think I can just turn this deck into the new Godzilla deck. Now, I had, for the most part, had most of all these decks maxed out before I even started the. Let's see something. I was out of picture. I know, I feel so silly. There we go. I max them out, so like I have all the Godzilla stuff right now. And this new set I'm just excited to get. I'm excited to test it out. I'm excited to see how powerful it is. I'm excited to see how ridiculous it is. I am excited to see just the potential of this deck. I mean, this deck is gonna be so much fun to play. I mean, haven't you ever wanted just to play a new deck? I don't play a new deck. And all the counter abilities are it's so interesting to me, and I like that I'm gonna have a new technique to use. I'll be bursting. I'll be burst. You be burst. What you gonna do when I play Gojira's? Goji's. Goji's. I play Goji's. You play Goji's. We are gonna play Godzilla. It's funny to look at all the cards that core boost you that you might just not even play anymore because you have to play other cards. Alright, so this deck, welcome viewer, we are building Godzilla decks. Building Godzilla decks. I'm building Godzilla decks. So this one, what if I do that, and they can kind of, F. Yeah, so, F. I'm gonna cast to the TV. Bingo. So at least you'll kind of be able to watch with what I'm doing. I just don't necessarily think we have the computing power right now to screen share. Okay.
You have to zoom in.
Good idea, Britt. So this is my current Godzilla vs. Mothra deck, and there's going to be huge changes to this deck, because this deck, I want it to be... See, this is the thing, is that I made a lot of these decks kind of just to fill in some space. I don't know if I need a Godzilla vs. Mothra deck. Achoo, 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 choo, 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 choo. Now, as I was saying, I made a lot of these decks just because I had a lot of cards. Now, yes, the strategy might be kind of all over the place, and it's definitely not supposed to be all over the place. I definitely think that there's definitely a superior way to play this deck, and there's definitely a less advantageous way of playing this deck. So I think right now, if I adjust this deck, see there's a few different ways that the new Godzilla set is going to allow me to collaborate and operate with this new with the current stuff, and I think I have to commit to a lot of the contract pre-advent stuff so that the deck can do more exciting things. And the good thing is that this still gets a core anytime I advent. When you summon / advent target Spirit or Brave with Godzilla in its name. So I already know I'm going to take out this Mothra. I'm going to take out this Mothra. I'm going to take out all of the infant islands. These are for sure all coming out. And I don't know if I want to keep in the Atomic Breath. This card's so good, but at the same time I don't know if I want it. Sadly, I don't know if I can keep this Burst in the deck either. Explicitly just due to the fact that I might just need more things that get counters. And some of these other cards in this deck right now are going to get cores, and they can end the game really fast. So I think that this deck might be just a deck that can get aggressive extremely quickly. Now, these cards are all your consistency cards over here. And Dave's home. Door and Tashi's, please. So right now, looking at what we have for the contract advent cards. So the good news is that a lot of them are green and red. So one of the first cards, Godzilla 1954, counter +1, then reveal 3 cards from your deck top, add a Godzilla among them to the hand, return any remaining cards to the deck bottom. Just a ridiculous card. Gotta play 3 of this card. When attack, so you can core boost. Now, thank you. I'm gonna just turn around for a second. Ah, F! Not my cable. I'm gonna put the headphones down. Alright, sorry about that. And I don't, he ain't seeing it. I do, but it's too far away. So, right now, there might be cards that are more superior at accomplishing the same goal. Like this card, this is just a win summon. There's a win attacks that's going to give me counters and add me a Godzilla. So this card is actually going to get replaced by Godzilla 54. So we already have our first new card, which is really exciting. Now, that's our first card that's really going to help us work towards this strategy. Next, Little Godzilla 2. This is going to give us counters. This is going to draw us cards. Might be able to kind of boost our BP destruction. I think we're going to have to play 3 of this guy. Next, we're going to get to Ingirus, let's see here, including being in Soul Saint pre-advent. If you control that baby Godzilla, pay 2 costs. Summon this Mirage. When you've done so, you can contract advent a red Godzilla from your hand, treating the soul as being sent to the trash. When summoned via this effect, counter boost 2 and destroy an opposing nexus. When you destroy, draw 2 cards. That's actually insane. Man, this is going to be such a hard deck to make, because I want to play 3 of that. So 3 Anguirus. Godzilla Jr. When advents, destroy 7,000 or less. When you've done so, if you have 5 or less, counter boost 1. I don't want to play that card. I think it's bad. Alright, Godzilla 1989. Godzilla counter 4. When advents, destroy 10,000 or less. And if there's any red cards among pre-advent, draw 2 cards. Yeah, so we're going to play at least 2 of this 1989. That card's ridiculous. That card is absolutely ridiculous. Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex. How's it good to work Gigan Rex? Godzilla or Mothra Larva Form. 3 of that card, because that card's ridiculous. See, this is like what I think though. Like, I don't know if I can. Some of these old decks, I feel like I have to completely just drop. So it's just like, why don't I just make a brand new deck? Which frustrates me because I get to this point to where I want to improve my current decks, but it feels like all I'm doing is replacing all the cards with cards from this set. It's a frustrating feeling to be like, well, all the cards that were good in this deck aren't good in this deck because there's just better options to play, and then you get to the point to where everything in the deck is just not used anymore. So do I just literally just build new decks with all these new cards? That's what it's like actually starting to feel like. And it's kind of annoying. So I think I'm just going to do that, honestly. I think I'm just going to keep all my... Nope, because there are bad decks. I do have some bad decks. So I'm going to take a look at this Ghidorah deck, because I think that's literally like one of the only decks that I have that's going to get a huge adjustment. That's not just going to be a small tweak. And that's explicitly based upon the fact that the original Ghidorah support isn't that good. So it got outpaced real fast. So I think we can definitely rebuild this deck. Nexus, Spirits, Nexus, Spirits, Magic, Nexus, Spirits, Magic, Spirit, Magic, Spirit, build, nah. Alright, all Sparts over there. We get our magic cards. Now the exciting and kind of annoying part at the same time is that we are going to be getting the revival cards are kind of the big push. All the revival cards are good, and they will dictate the way that this deck is played. But at the same time, the best part about the set is that you actually get to reclaim the Ghidorah identity. I feel like in order to make this deck work originally, you had to play a lot of not good cards. And now you're going to be able to change a lot of these not good cards that get outpaced very quickly, cards that your opponent can like +6 on their turn with some of these cards, and you're just like, if I don't destroy 4,000 or less, I don't draw, or something like that. I mean, it's not that bad, but there are some very situational things in this deck where you're just like, that's it. I am very far behind. I don't like this. So that's just the feeling that you used to have playing this deck. It really doesn't feel like that no more. All these cards, man. You have no idea how excited I am to just rebuild this deck. Oh, I'm so excited to rebuild this deck. This is actually the deck that Novalance actually likes the most, I think. Well, not the most, but it's one of the decks. So do you ever just like have a deck that in like any card game that you play that you're like, dude, I just wish, oh shoot. I just wish that deck was a lot better than the way it was. And maybe it just got outpaced, or maybe it just doesn't have the best cards to start out with. And you're like, the idea is super neat. I want to try it out, but it's just not worth the time and effort. Plop, plop, plop. Put all those over there. Put all these over here. I just can't, because like the good thing about this deck right now is there's so many cards that are just gonna be easy to take out. And it's just gonna be, this is gonna be a very painless deck at it, because I just know that so many cards in this deck just don't need to exist anymore in this deck. So first things first, let's do the rebirths or revivals. So we start out with the Space Kaiju Super Ghidorah. This guy right here. This guy gets revivaled. If you control any future pet Dorat by paying 4 and discarding this card, activate the win summon effects of this card. Once returned, destroy a 7,000 or less, and when destroys, draw a card. If you have 7 counters or more, destroy an opposing 1 symbol and draw 2 cards. Very good card. It gets so much better. So this card, I will flip it upside down because essentially it's going to be the same card, just the revival version. And there's going to be a few cards like that in the stack. So that's a Ghidorah, Godzilla. Here's another Ghidorah. So Ghidorah 91 when summoned, and this is going to be the revival version. So this is going to be an advent card. So what I know that I'm going to already be able to do, I'm going to be able to take out these. I'm going to be able to take out these. I'm going to be able to take out these. I'm going to take out these. I'm going to be able to take out all of these. I'm going to probably take out... I'm going to take out all of these. So these are the only two things that are getting left out. And I'll talk about this in a little bit. But really, these are the only three things that are getting in this. And there are reasons, because like I said, there are revival cards. So, King Ghidorah 91. By sending your soul to trash, Advent, when you have 2 counters or more. Counter boost 2, then you destroy 3 7,000 or less. By paying 3 costs, you get the soul back to the spirit. So essentially, this is an easy way to counter boost. So you can evolve your Ghidorah real fast. We'll say we'll play 3 of that card. We're also going to obviously play 3 Dorat. 3 of the new Dorats. You want to get... I mean, obviously you're going to start with it, but you just want to get the counter boot. You just want to get those abilities. And sometimes if you have them, you have more on the field. At least for me, I feel more secure. I feel a lot more secure. Even though like some of the effects can't stack, if you can counter boost, it still might be a great ability to have. So 3 Dorats. Now we gotta keep going back to the revival cards. So 91. And that's kind of like one of the few new cards that... Well, that's not true. We're gonna get a few more new cards in this deck. Now, what I was saying about this card that really sucks is that this is the Secret Rare version. And I have to put this in my binder because the revival version of this card is the version that I'm going to have to play. Because it's actually just better. When your Ghidorah spirits are destroyed by the opponent, you can summon this card from your hand by paying 1 cost. I think before it was destroyed by card effect. And now this one is just destroyed, so I can read it, it's right in front of me. Yeah, by opposing effects. So this one, you can summon it a lot easier. When summoned, return opposing spirit or ultimate to either the deck top or deck bottom. Then, which is good because sometimes if they have a strong card that you don't want them to get back, just send it to the deck bottom. Then destroy 2 10,000 BP or less. Level 2, when your red or white spirit refreshes via an effect, you can activate one of the wind summon or one of add-on effects on one of your Ghidorahs. So that ability is so much better because it's not just King Ghidorahs. Because a lot of them affected King Ghidorahs. Well, the other one was just red white spirits, but I think this one the when summon or advance effects could help you adapt in the match a little bit more. So far that's that's 2 spirits that we are changing to the revival versions. Now the next card, Planet Gorath, right here. Planet Gorath is getting a revival. When deployed, reveal 5 cards from your deck. Among them, add a Ghidorah and Monster X to the hand. Return any remaining cards to the deck bottom. So you don't get Des Ghidorah with this card anymore, and they don't go to the trash. So this is exactly what Ghidorah needs. The original one, whoever made that was on crack because it just wasn't good. It just didn't help the archetype. And it didn't work for all Ghidorahs, so it was actually frustrating. And then level 2, during your attack step, All your red spirits get plus 3000 BP. Also, once per turn, when your Ghidorah or Monster X would leave the field due to the opposing effects, by discarding 2 cards from your hand, all of them remain on the field in the same condition. So that could be beneficial. Just for survivability's sake. I like that card. And same condition, it doesn't exhaust them. So you might still be able to block other cards, other spirits too. So 3 Planet Gorath, because now it actually searches Ghidorah cards. It just got 1000% better. Now Gravity Beam. That's another card. Man, I am needing water. All right, so it's got Mirage now. So Mirages cost 2 and a ruby. You can pay the cost and discard a Ghidorah from your hand. When you pay the cost and discard a Ghidorah from your hand, you can immediately send every card from opposing 3 or less Grandwalker Nexus to the void. That's a lot of the Gundam ones. That's a bunch of the Gundam ones. So many of the Gundam Grandwalker Nexuses are pretty much going to be rendered useless if this card is a Mirage. And then if you use the main effect, return 2 Dorats or Ghidorahs from your trash to your hand. This card is absolutely insane with the ability that you're going to be able to continuously recycle cards. So this card is also Revival. And we're keeping it at 2. Such a good card. Now, we are going to be getting a Revival Diamond Wall. And that is going to refresh or replace this original Diamond Wall. When your life would be reduced by an opposing effect, by discarding this card from your hand, 1 less life is reduced. So this saves you from burn without having to... Excuse me. This is going to save you from burn without having to put in like any effort at all. And then flash, refresh one of your spirits. Or if you have 1 counter or more, during this turn your life can only be reduced by 1. So you can protect yourself from burn, and because you're playing a counter strategy that uses your soul core a lot, you don't necessarily have to be afraid of using your soul core anymore. That's why you want to play the Revival one, is that you get to you lose that soul core paranoia. So now we're gonna go back to the main set. So let's look at good. We'll start out with King Ghidorah 1964. Cost 3 spirit when summoned, counter boost 1. Reveal 3 cards from your deck top. Add a cost 4 or more Ghidorah among them to your hand. Discard any remaining cards. So a card that searches any Ghidorah. Yes, that's going to be played at 3. If I didn't do that, I'd probably be high. Like, not a good high. So 3 of that card. My goodness, that's a great card. And then Ghidorah Gravity Beams. Advent. When it attacks, destroy 7,000 or less by paying 2 costs, increase the limit by 5,000. Then once per turn, counter boost 1. When it attacks at 3 counters or more, destroy an opposing Nexus, and they can't activate. That card's also good. So I need 3 of that card. Carl has the feeling that this deck is going to fill up way too quickly. Monster X. When your Ghidorah is attacking, the opponent can't end the attack via effects, and that's a Mirage ability, not bad. Either attacks that once per turn when your Ghidorah is discarded from your hand by paying the cost, you can summon that spirit card without paying the cost. However, anyone summon effects can't activate. That's actually really good. Oh man. That's so difficult. I'm gonna have to come back to that one. Oh man, I'm gonna puke. There's so many good cards to play, and I feel like I'm not gonna be able to play half of them. Mecha Ghidorah 91. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's just the same thing I keep running into, is that it just replaces everything. I think it's all going to get replaced. Talk to you about the beautiful contract rare. Well, the Dorat secret version. Well, I mean, the regular version is pretty cute, where they're all kind of just like. Yeah, it's too far away. I can't even see it. I can't see my big old head.
Can zoom in a little bit more.
I don't even really think I can zoom in much more. The original Dorat, where they're all kind of like hanging around, is kind of cute. But when they're all like fusing into becoming King Ghidorah, I think that looks equally as epic. Now, I might have to take this card out because it doesn't counter boost, or at least take it down to maybe 1. So I could take out 2 of those. I think I might have to take out this laser gravitational beam, because I'm just running out of space. And it's kind of frustrating because if you're not counter boosting in this deck, it feels like you're honestly wasting your time. So 3 of the new Mecha Kings. During this battle. That one's gonna pass the turn over to you. Atomic Breath, Destroyer Ray, Dorat, Destroyer. Kaiju Ghidorah. Yep. So 3 of the burst then. And that's it though. I think that might be it. I might be able to put this card back. Because let me look at the secret rares again. It's just, oh, I don't think I put the extra in. I have the 3 Dorats. I have 3 of the Mecha Godzilla. I have 3 of the the King Ghidorah 91's Revival. I have, oh, it's the Monster X's, and I don't know if I even put the Kaiser Ghidorah. I definitely didn't even look at the Kaiser Ghidorah. Ugh. Some of these cards you just play for actual discard fodder, which is but cool at the same time. But it just the way that changes the way that it feels like the deck has to play is the weird part. Well, it's actually just frustrating because it's just like it literally feels like you don't use any old cards.
Yeah.
Just build all from this new set. Which would mean I'd have to take this completely out. And then it's just kind of these 3. This, and I'm not even sure if I should play 3 Dorat. I feel like I want to, because that can get Dorat back too. Just to search and find a new card that I want. So 6 Dorats. This searches for do I want to do 2 Kaisers and 2 Kaisers and 2 Monster X? 2 of each? Because they're both good, but I don't know how. Ugh, and there's Des Ghidorah, man. Ugh. So many options. Alright, let me try this. Just because looking at these pictures is actually just like bothering me. This is weird, chat. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be weird, but the way I have to think about this is just I can't look at the cards. I can't look at the ones I currently have. It's just throwing me too much for a loop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put these here. I'm gonna turn behind, grab my my notebook. I'm gonna put my headphones down so I don't pull them off.
Hey,
Hmm.
I tweeted and shared in the Discord. Why don't you retweet? And you can get me from people too.
Well, it's not a very high quality stream today, but I can always retweet. I'm on Twitter now. I don't see no Lance though. No Lance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Retweeted from the Nova Lance. Nova Lance, thank you. Alright, so
You're welcome.
I'm so distracted, so what I decided to do is I am just going to write down the name of every card that's coming out. That's a part of that set. I'm going to tear it up, and then I'm going to put these face down and just start making piles of those cards. So the first one is Ghidorah 1964. $1964. And then Ghidorah Gravity Beams. Why did I draw a straight line?
When you have lined paper, I was just gonna let you do what you want.
Gravity Beam. Monster X. Oh no, I did what I didn't want to do. Well, no, you know what? They will save paper that way. It's okay. No, I want to do it the other way. No, I just have a different plan than that plan. And this original plan was the go-to plan, and then I was going to compromise. I was like, no, I haven't even started. I don't have to compromise. I can do the original plan. So that was Ghidorah GB. Ghidorah Gravity Beams, Monster X. And then we got Monster X goes all the way to the top. Fingers Des Ghidorah. And then Kaiju Godzilla, Godzilla Kaiser Ghidorah. Ghidorah. Nova Lance, what's your favorite Ghidorah form?
I love. I love the new double X rare Gravity Ghidorah from the
The
Netflix
regular
show.
X-Rare.
Yeah, and he's just a couple noodles.
Couple noodles.
That's what he is. And I know it's disappointing in the story. I agree. But I also like thinking that he's fine. Oh, so I like that for him a lot. I like the design. And
I like the design a lot.
yeah, I like the design. I don't like how it like appeared in the show, but the design's pretty cool. Another Ghidorah form that I do enjoy is going to be the Burst card Des Ghidorah. And I like him because he looks more traditionally like a regular three-headed dragon. And I like the darker scales, and I like
The
how it's a
dark
different.
scales. Keep going.
Huh?
I like listening to your, because you're the Ghidorah player. I build the deck, I play with it, but I don't necessarily do a whole lot with it. But I mean, I do enjoy the Ghidorah deck quite a bit. So I think we're already all the way up to the X rare. Destroya, G-Force, Ultima, Burning, High Dimensional.
So, like in terms of like the deck, it was really difficult to play because you kind of just needed to keep drawing as many cards as possible while taking the damage. Because if you kind of go in a bit too early, you don't get a lot of wiggle room for mistakes. Because in the modern day, it's quite limiting. When you need your Ghidorah for the most part, it can get pretty frustrating because a lot of your Ghidorah cards need to be advented if you really want to get them out properly. And that can be quite stressful when you only have three Dorats in the deck, and if you don't hit anything with your Dorats, it feels even worse.
Does it?
Yeah, thanks. I kind of want though. Oh, man, okay, I'll be real with you. So I really wanted to see cards from the kaiju movies, like Godzilla vs. King Kong, Godzilla like 2018, I think. I wanted to see those cards so bad because Ghidorah is a really intense villain. But they didn't. They went a different route, which is totally fine. And I don't know if it's like that because of the fact that they would have to create all brand new artwork from those movie sources, or if they could borrow artwork from existing sources. So I also don't know how people feel about in real life screen grabs on a card. It feels weirdly tacky.
Does it?
I think so. I don't want to say low effort necessarily, but maybe it's just the fact that getting something that was done with like CGI technology and you try to make it into a 2D space with a card, I don't think it does either thing justice.
Man, I'm almost done. There's so many cards. Plant Gorath. And then Gravity Beam, I think is a Gravity Beam. I think Godzilla versus... Wow, so they didn't print Godzilla versus Ghidorah in this set. First Mothra, Smack Godzilla, Crystal Zone, Godzilla 2000, fourth one, Incarnate. And then it's just Diamond Wall Revival. That's the last one. So now comes the hands-on part. I always rip my own stuff, man. This is why I'm not good at arts and crafts, everybody. Alright, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be tearing everything.
Do you want me to help you?
If you want. So now I'm probably gonna be making piles of 3 for everything. That probably gonna be playing a lot of 3-ofs in this deck. Probably play a few 2-ofs, just so I can have some diversity. And this is a thing that I gotta really think about, because I'm like, the Godzilla decks I have right now are like not that good. They're slow, so it feels like most of these cards I'm just gonna have to retire because there's just cards that outpace them. And why would I have like 4 versions of, like, my Destroyer deck is actually like super consistent. It's an extremely powerful deck. It is one of those decks that it can compete with a lot of those newer decks, especially the Shin Godzilla deck. But then you look at a deck like my Mothra deck, it runs out of steam very quickly. My Godzilla vs. Mothra deck is kind of very similar, where it doesn't necessarily have that endurance factor. The only thing that kind of makes me anxious is that I know that there are cards in the new set that you kind of play with it and you kind of merge with it, but at the same time you keep it separate. I know that sounds weird. I think the biggest thing that I'm really going to have to swallow is that there's probably a lot of contract advent cards that I'm only going to be playing maybe 2 of or 1 of. So Gravity Beam, this is going to be one of our 2-ofs. Surprised we have 3 for everything. That doesn't make sense. I would have to be missing a card. Oh, no, this one has 4. So I know, because the thing is, 2 Diamond Wall and 2 Gravity Beam, I want to play magic cards. It's smart to play magic cards, especially in decks that are slower. So Diamond Wall and Gravity Beam, we're already playing those. I think I'm out of frame, though. I'm definitely out of frame. So what I'm doing right now is, because I don't have like printouts of the new cards, and I don't know who's got color printing ink, gonna pay for all that color printing ink. But right now we're just printing off a bunch of these little, not printing off, or peeling these off of a notebook. Wrote a bunch of the card names down, Dynamo Revival, so on and so forth. And we're going to build this deck. So definitely need 3 Planet Goriath. That card is too good. Being able to add Ghidorahs to your hand is the biggest thing that this deck didn't have. It didn't have that consistency. Now you have it in a Nexus, so you have that reduction. That's going to make this deck a lot more scary. Cyber Kaiju, Mecha Ghidorah. The annoying thing is I'm going to have to look up all these cards again. So let's look at what my options are over here. Gravity Beam. Over here, I only played 2 Gravity Beam. That's our magic card. That card is going to allow us to get some of our... I guess I can see it anyways. Yay, thank you. Super Space Ghidorah. Ooh, that's the cost 4. See, I don't... Does that one counter boost me? Because the biggest thing is, like, I need to play cards in this deck that counter boost me. If I'm not counter boosting, it feels like the card just isn't accomplishing enough of what the deck is trying to do. And of course, you want to have... Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a flash ability. Yeah, this card's so much better now. Do I play 3 of it? Do I play 3 of it? But anyways, we're going to play 2 Diamond Wall. Diamond Wall Revival. And you play the Revival version because you're already going to be using your Soul Core frequently just so you can contract Advent. The Diamond Wall Revival doesn't require the Soul Core. So you're going to be able to skip something that normally would slow you down quite a bit. This is going to allow you to maintain pace. And I think that that's an extremely beneficial thing that you have to take into consideration. 3 Dorat. Like I said, I want the ability to have multiple powerful effects that could go off at the same time. Now, the only thing about this deck right now that I don't like is that it doesn't really have the ability to core boost. So this is going to be one of those typical red decks where you are kind of having to keep pace. And that's not necessarily the most fun thing to do, but sometimes it's all that you can do. Alright, so let's go back over here now. Look at what we have for our options. Nova Lance keeps peeling it. Des Ghidorah, Mecha King Ghidorah 91. Let's see, so I want to play a lot of these Monster X too. See, I think I should play 2. There's a lot of these cards that I feel like I just have to play a lot of 2-ofs. But at the same time, I know there's some cards that I just like, that I feel like if I don't play 3 of them, I'm gonna not be able to compete. 3 Cyborg Mecha King Ghidorah. You have to play 3. That card's ridiculous. That was the X rare that I have the secret rare of that now is gonna get put in the binder because it's not the good one anymore, which is really sad. It makes me really sad. Kaiser Ghidorah, Ghidorah Gravity Beam. How many left, Nova Lance?
Last one.
Last one? Yay. The one that I ripped, Ghidorah 64. Alright. So we're going to start from the top again. Ghidorah 64. So this one, when summoned, counter boost 1. Then if you then reveal 3 cards from your deck, add a cost 4 more Ghidorah among them to the hand, discard the remaining cards. Absolute 3 of. Can't play this deck without 3 of these. So I'm going to put that right next to the future Dorat, because these are the low-cost spirits over here that essentially are going to be the heart and soul of the deck. They're going to be the cards that turbo you through your deck. They're going to get you what you need. They're going to allow you to accomplish your goals. So 3 of each of those without a thought. 3 of each of those without a thought. 1964. Then we go to Gravity Beams. Our first Advent. Now the good thing about Gravity Beams, which is right here, this one says, send your soul to trash, Advent, yep, but there is no counter restriction, so this is honestly going to be your starter Advent. When attacks, destroy a 7,000 or less by paying 2 costs, increase the BP destruction of the effect by 5,000, then once per turn, counter boost 1. So this card is going to be your starter. I do think you will need 3 of these cards just so that you have the ability to get that counter boost moving. This card is going to help out a lot. I like when you have easy ways to get your deck started. So 3 Gravity Beams. Now we go to Monster X. Now this is when it starts getting more difficult. It's a cost 4 Mirage Spirit. Mirage 2-in-1 Ruby Reduction. When your Ghidorah is attacking, the opponent can't end the attack stat VFX. That's okay. I mean, I especially considering how many contract advents are going around. The Revival Diamond Wall just says your life, and Diamond Wall by itself just says your life can only be reduced by 1. It doesn't end the attack stat. So I feel like there are a lot of cards that don't necessarily say end the attack stat, but can just prevent your life from getting burned or reduced in alternate ways. And then if it's a spirit level 1, 2, 3, either attack step, once per turn, same name. When a Ghidorah is discarded from your hand by paying the cost, you can summon that spirit without paying the cost. However, anyone summon effects can't activate. I honestly think this card is going to allow you to play a lot of your bigger cards without at a cheaper spot. Now this is Monster X. What I want to do is I want to put this Monster X to the side because I want to look at how many of these Ghidorah spirits have those discarding abilities. So we're going to put that one, we're going to put Monster X to the side. Next card, Little Godzilla, Anguirus Jr., Anguirus Des Ghidorah. Cost 6, 3 ruby. When summoned, destroy an opposing spirit with the lowest BP. When destroys, draw 2 cards. So this is going to allow you to turbo. The effects of Ghidorah discarded from your hand that target opposing spirits or ultimates can only be prevented by heavy armor and ultra armor. And this card is not that powerful. When I first saw it, I liked it a lot because it destroys the lowest BP. So it can destroy huge things. And so pretty much if your opponent has a spirit, it is going to guarantee you 2 draws. But because it's a 6 cost, it is going to be more difficult to summon, thus being a less important card. I am going to take, what is this, Des Ghidorah? And I am going to put it down here as one of the least favorable cards right now as far as the ones that we have access to. Just not necessarily the optimal cards that I want to have, the optimal cards that I could play. I just feel like there are just some other options that possibly could be more fun to play. Hey Mark! Hey, feels good. Hopefully you're watching. Hopefully you're having a good time, like me. Just looking through all my cards. I don't have a YouTube chat open. Maybe you're yelling at me on YouTube. I'll open that up right now. Mute me. Oh, I see Nova Lance on YouTube. Yeah, my lighting is bad. So Des Ghidorah is actually going to take a back seat. It's an okay card right now, but I don't think it's going to be what we want. Kaiju King Godzilla 89, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Kaiser Ghidorah 2, Flash, including being in Soul State or pre-advent. If I have a Ghidorah by paying 6 with 4 ruby reduction and discarding this card from your hand, activate the Wind Summoner attacks effect on this card. When Summoner attacks, ignore the BP plus of Braves and destroy at 15,000 or less spirit or ultimate. Also, once per turn, same name, by paying 3 costs, refresh one of your Ghidorah. So, this is the discarding strategy. So, Kaiser Ghidorah 2, I'll have to write that number 2 on it, and Monster X is also a 2. These both have discarding, I guess, shenanigans. I can't believe I said that word on stream. So these cards have discarding tricks, where they can do things together. Like, if you have your Monster X on the field and you use your Kaiser Ghidorah from hand, you can play your Kaiser Ghidorah for free after that. So it's cute. I'm gonna see how probable it is because we might skip that discarding ability just for more search power. Godzilla Fire, Mothra, Violante, Mecha King Ghidorah 91. Contract to Heaven. Your Ghidorah or your Ghidorah and you have 3 or more counters. Either attacks that. Blah blah. When advents during this battle, one of your Ghidorah is unaffected by opposing spirit effects. So you could possibly just not die. Okay, and then also if it's the opposing attack step, when this battle ends, end the attack step. So this card essentially is just an easy way to end your opponent's turn. They attack, you have let's just say you have a Ghidorah in pre-advent, you advent on it, and then your opponent's turn ends. And then either attack step, effects of spirits or nexuses destroyed by your Ghidorah effects don't activate. That's an okay effect. You're probably just going to be adventing onto this card. But this Ghidorah, let's see here. Where is it? What's this one called? Mecha King 91, which is right here. So this is another card that I think we're going to have to play 3 of just because it's low counter cost and it's really just going to pass the turn back to you. It's going to make it so your opponent can't kill you. This is just an amazing card for defense, so that's just an auto card that we're going to play. Sonic Breath, baby. We already have 3 Dorat. Alright, and then the Burst. Obviously, the Burst is the High Dimensional Ghidorah. Now, the High Dimensional Ghidorah also has one of those discarding abilities. So, the High Dimensional Ghidorah plays into the whole discarding ability. Now, being able to play that card for free from your hand would be a lot of fun. So I do think that it is a card that, because we're playing these 3 cards, yeah, I think that's ultimately the best way to go. And then Machine Hands, I mean, there's no way you're not playing 3 of these cards. Explicitly just based on the fact that it's your X-Rare. So you're going to play 3 of the X-Rares, which means that the chance of us working in this discard strategy is almost like 100% guaranteed. But we will put in 3 Machine Hand because that is your win condition. That is your card that's going to do the thing. So the thing I also like about this deck is you're playing a lot of Mecha King Ghidorahs. Before, there was only really one good Mecha King Ghidorah, even though there's like 2 or 3 of them. This makes me happy that there's a card that's actually good to play that I feel like is actually going to make me some progress. Alright, now we're gonna go to the revivals. So Revival Space Kaiju is another discarding ability. So where's Revival? 91. Space Kaiju Revival. This card is a discarding ability too. So now we have 12 possible cards that play through a discard strategy, which if in a 40 card deck, that's a quarter of your deck is going to utilize a strategy. At that point, you really feel like you can commit to that strategy based upon the facts that this strategy is, I don't want to say just because it's laid out in front of you, but you have to consider that one of the X-Rares does use the discarding strategy. You want to maximize that strategy. You're going to want to play 3. And then Ghidorah 91 Revival. Now this card, why you want to play this card is because it counter boosts you. That's pretty much it. You're going to counter boost and possibly get another way to advent in your turn. So this one is going to let you advent twice. So this one's, you absolutely have to play at least 2 of it. So the only one that we really don't need is that Des Ghidorah. But everything else, playing it at 3 is probably going to be the most beneficial from what we have right now. Three High Dimensional, 3 Monster X. Honestly, I think I could do 3 Kaiser. What if I did 2 of each? 2 Kaiser. 2 Kaiser Ghidorah, 2 Godzilla 99, and 2 of the space one. And then I'd have 3 slots left after that. Which means I have 2 different ways that I can go forward from that. I can either choose to use some of the older cards or commit to the new strategy. Now, the thing that I think that's going to bother me is I think this Ghidorah does slightly help. Where is that Ghidorah? Destroy an opposing spirit with the lowest BP, and when it destroys, draw 2 cards. I just think that draw 2 cards just might be too good. The effects of your Ghidorah discard from your hand that target opposing spirits and ultimates can only be prevented by heavy armor and ultra armor. So that pretty much means it's gonna bypass the phase shift armor. I think that's the main thing, is that card says it laughs at Gundams. Now, Planet Gorath. When deployed, reveal 5. Oh, shoot. Click the revival. When deployed, reveal 5 from your deck top. Add a Ghidorah or Monster X to your hand. Return any remaining to the deck bottom. So add anything. Your attacks have all your red spirits gain +3. Once returned, when your Ghidorah or Monster X will leave the field due to the opposing effects by discarding 2 cards from your hand. All of them remain on the field in the same condition. I mean, the level 2 effect is okay, but I mean, you're gonna play the Planet Gorath just so you can search, honestly. Now, where I'm at right now is Ghidorah helps you draw, but it also costs 6. There are many cards in this deck that feel like cost a lot. Here, this is, well, actually no, this is small, this is small, this is small, this is small. I guess there are a lot of small ones. It just feels weird to not play Godzilla vs. Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this set wants me to play this Ghidorah from the set to get past the Gundams. But then I look at my original deck and I'm like, it's entirely nullified. Everything in it's replaced.
I think that's one of the most frustrating parts about this set is the amount of revival cards is a lot more than I personally like. Maybe like 5, not including Diamond Wall. The others should all have been brand new cards in my opinion. And since we like to play with all of the cards, we can better utilize a lot of these cards so that they don't feel like they all have the burst burning Godzilla. They don't all have the God Incarnate Grandwalker Nexus, into where it just feels very repetitive and you have a little spice here and there.
Well, the annoying part is like everything is so counter-oriented, where it feels like if I play things that don't interact with counters, that I'm not playing the optimal card. Because it can advent onto Dorad or Ghidorah and counter 7 or more. Alright, well I feel like I have the deck for now. Everybody, thanks for coming on into the stream. This was a spur of the moment thing, and I think I kind of figured it out, but at the same time, I feel like it's really hard to make this deck without the cards in front of you. And I gotta memorize some more abilities, so I gotta get better at that. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, today.